Close of play, the third day of the first test between India and England in Chennai sees England still in a very strong position. India 257 for 6, so they're 321 runs behind. Jofra Archer set things up by dismissing the openers, Sharma for 6 and Shubman Gill for 29. A brilliant catch that by Anderson, diving to his left at mid-on. The big wicket, Virat Kohli, snapped up at short leg off Bess, is feeling for one slightly outside the off stump that turned and bounced. 71 for 3, 73 for 4 when Rahane slammed a full toss from Bess really hard out to cover, and Root diving full length to his left took a brilliant one-handed catch, and England really thought then they were in. Then this remarkable stand, this effort from Risbah Pant. He only plays one way, and he got stuck into Jack Leach, hitting for 5 sixes in all. He didn't like what was going on outside his off stump in the rough, so he just took him on, and he have to say he did win that battle, and his innings rather loosened up Pujara as well, who was playing very steadily, but he just slowly loosened up, and they added 119 together before Pujara was out for 73. Another rather strange dismissal, a long hop this time from Bess, which was hit hard by Pujara into Pope. It hit him on the back at short leg and then ballooned up and was taken by Burns at mid-wicket. So a little bit of luck there, you have to say, as well. 192 for 5. Pant, well, he got to 91 from 87 balls before he went after another one from Bess outside the off stump, a little bit of turn, and Leach took a good catch out at wide long off in the deep. Pant out for 91, 225 for 6, but that was the last of England's successes. They didn't take a wicket for 17 overs before the end there, with Washington Sundar on 33 and Ravi Ashwin on 8 not out. It means that India are 321 behind. Then they still need to get to 379 to avoid the follow-on. They're 257 for 6. Quick look at the bowling figures, if I can whip them up on here, which I think I can. James Anderson, 11 overs for 34. Jofra Archer bowled with a lot of pace early on, bowled well. 16 overs, 2 for 52. Ben Stokes, 6 overs for 16. Joe Root bowled an over for 1. Dom Bess, the most successful, 4 for 55 from 23 overs, 5 maidens, and a bit of a torrid day, frankly, for Jack Leach, who was got after, and it wasn't so much that he should feel bad about being got after. It was a threat that he was posing to the left-handed Pant, but it was Pant who won the battle. 17 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 94 for Jack Leach. Michael Vaughan has been enjoying today. That had about everything in it, didn't it? Brilliant catches, horrible batting, lovely balls, terrible balls. I mean, it had everything.
Yeah, it's. I mean, from an England perspective, that's been pretty much 3 days of perfect Test match cricket. I don't think you can play any better than that. Obviously, Jofra dropping a catch in that last session. That's one mistake, but I mean, even Jack Leach, he's been hit around the park, but I don't think he bowled that badly. I just think he was got at. You know, I think Rishabh decided he had to take him on, did it brilliantly. Jofra's spell in the morning session, exactly what you want from Jofra Archer. Quick, hostile, steep bounce on a placid wicket. Dom Bess bowled a lot better today than he did in Sri Lanka, and got a bit of fortune with a couple of dismissals. But I think you earn the right to get those bits of fortune when you do the right things, and he's improving all the time. I thought Joe Root's captaincy was excellent, just manoeuvring his bowling attack, manoeuvring his field into positions of asking question of all the players and all the batsmen. It's been a great 3 days, but there's still so much left in this game of cricket. I mean, if India bat a session and get another 100, another 80, 100, well, the time's just eking out, and then do England bat again just to rest the bowlers up, and then it might not give them enough time to get the last obviously 10 wickets to win the game. So we're in for 2 enthralling days of cricket. It's going to be a must watch.
We were talking yesterday, weren't we, about India and the way they have turned up for this game, and I remember saying overnight, well, look, they can't be caught napping here. They've been a bit sleepy so far the first couple of days, all those no balls and terrible reviews and drop catches. But that wasn't a very sharp performance again there, and take Pant out of it. But can you see them batting that badly again?
No.
That's taking nothing away from England's bowling, but I mean, it wasn't a great performance, was it?
No, absolutely right. And I think, you go back to 2016 where it felt like England caught India napping in that first Test match. Very similar situation. England got a big score. Some say they batted on too long, and then all of a sudden India 6 wickets down on the last day. They draw the game, went on to win the series comfortably. India will get better in this series. They're not going to, as you say, bat as badly as they've done today. But when you've got someone like Jofra Archer, and he gets a couple of steep deliveries, and he got one in front of Virat's face that just ballooned past short leg. Good rearing delivery to get rid of Rohit Sharma. I do believe Shubman Gill is going to be the next big thing in world cricket.
He's a lovely player, isn't he?
He's going to be up there with the best within the next 2 or 3 years. He's a wonderful player. You know, Pujara's, I believe, the key to this Indian batting lineup because he just occupies the crease. He's so consistent. You know, he knows his game inside out. You look at Virat Kohli's dismissal against off-spin. That was a poor stroke.
Okay, analyse it. Come on.
Well, the fact that you're defending a ball to square of extra cover, so you're angling the ball, the bat towards that kind of gap that's been created. Now, all the ball has to do is bounce. Doesn't even have to spin from then. You know, you talked to Joe Root last week about playing spin, and it's about showing the full face to the bowler and to the ball that's coming at you. Well, he's made the most glaring mistake that you wouldn't expect a 15-year-old to do. That, you know, you do not defend with an angle bat towards the offside when the ball potentially can be spinning. So he made a big mistake. I think, you know, we've looked at Virat against off spin, and Moeen Ali's had him out a couple of times doing a similar thing. What surprised me was
for me too. The Indians generally play spin bowling with such soft hands. I know he hasn't played for a long time as well, but he just pushed that bat out in front of the pad a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I think so. He's a wonderful player, but I think he's a better player when he's attacking. You know, when he's really looking to kind of get runs and get boundaries and be really busy between the wickets and active. I thought he was just very placid today. And that's what I'd say about the Indian side for 3 days. It might be that Rishabh Pant kind of injected life into them, because he injected life into Pujara, because, you know, you mentioned in your summarising that, you know, he suddenly started dancing down Pujara and looking to score and looking to hit and looking to find the gaps for the boundary. I just wonder if that Rishabh Pant innings is almost what the Indian team needed to kind of go, come on, this is the kind of cricket we play. We're more aggressive. We need to get into the opposing side's faces a little bit more. I don't think India will bat as placidly again in this series. I think they'll be much more aggressive, like we saw in the second half of today.
I first felt looking at Kohli in the field as well. He was quite subdued for him. Normally he strides around, his arms, he's pointing everywhere, isn't he? He's having a bit of a go. He looks full of aggression and so on. I just thought perhaps that was missing a bit from him in the field over the last couple of days as well.
Yeah, I mean, Virat generally is, as you say, he's in the opposing team's faces.
Yes. You
know, and he gets at you. He's a bit similar to Sourav Ganguly when he was captain. You always feel with Virat, he's almost looking for a battle. You know, he wants to have a bit of a confrontation. I just wonder whether, you know, the fact that Ajinkya Rahane captained the side in such a nice way in Australia, but very tactically astute, obviously very good at managing the individuals and the younger players in the side. I just wonder whether Virat's thought, I better try and be like Ajinkya Rahane rather than, and I advise any captain, just be you. Whatever you is, and if that you is the aggressive and you're at the players all the time, that's what you have to be. That's your style of leadership. Yeah, he's looked very nice. I mean, the great picture of him helping Joe Root out with the cramp, great picture, lovely. But you kind of think, well, I'm not so sure I'd have seen Virat do that a couple of years ago.
It struck me exactly the same. It's interesting with Pant, isn't it? Because I mean, he is keeping wickets, so he is a wicket keeper, but he's not a very good wicket keeper, and he's made some errors in this match already. A really bad stumping that he missed this morning to a left-hander with Ashwin bowling round the wicket. I mean, he'd have seen that ball all the way, and yet he's still fluffed it. But if they don't have him keeping wicket, how do they have him in the side? You can see this sort of dilemma building up for the Indians, can't you? If they play Saha, well, he'll bat at 6. So the only way to have Pant in the side is to drop a bowler, and they want to have their 5 bowlers if they can. So you can see a bit of a dilemma building up there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to improve his keeping.
Yeah.
You know, he is...
And quite quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just got to put the hours of practice in to get better with the gloves, because with the batting hand, I mean, you'll have to look at the way that he played in Australia. You know, in Sydney, he was the standout. He went to the Gabba, the standout, and then here again today, he's just changed the course of today's play with an incredible innings. You know, risky, but risks to him are probably not that risky. You know, dancing down and launching it over wide, long gone. He just fancies that he can do that. It doesn't matter that there's a fielder or two on the boundary. He just backs himself to hit it over the top. I would certainly be working hard with someone like Rishabh Pant, because he's a match winner.
Yes.
You know, and he's going to win many games for India in one-day cricket, T20 cricket, Test match cricket, but he's just got to put the yards in and become a better wicket keeper.
It's interesting, isn't it? Especially the all-rounders, and wicket keepers are all-rounders, really, those that bat, and you talk about bringing form or confidence in one form of your game to lift another part of it. And I just wonder, I mean, I think a lot of lesser mortals would have walked out to bat if you were Pant today at 73 for 4, knowing he had a bit of a nightmare behind the stumps, thinking, oh, I've got to get in here, play a bit steady. And I mean, it obviously didn't affect him at all, did it?
No, I don't. I think he's got a mentality and a character that I don't think he gets affected by much.
No.
I was talking on the social about Ravi Shastri's speech in the series that finished in Australia. He basically pointed at Rishabh Pant at the end of the series and went, Rishabh, you just keep being Rishabh. He said, we hide behind the sofas when you go to bat, but you just keep being you. That's what we need you to be. And that's what he was today.
Now, what about England's bowling then? I think we've given Archer a 10 out of 10 for that opening burst. You get the visitors 44 for 2. You got both openers out. I think the fast bowler you've done your bit, hasn't he? Anderson interested me, and they found some very early reverse swing.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jimmy bowled nicely. He didn't get the rewards that he got in Gaul, but you just know with Jimmy Anderson, he's going to lock up an end. He's not going to go for too many. He's going to probe away. A little bit of in and out swing, the odd cutter. But I think the England team will be delighted with Jofra Archer. When you think he's not played, he's not had any cricket to get that rhythm up. He's just been bowling in the nets, probably bowling a few balls in the middle. He bowled exactly like I want Jofra Archer to bowl in Test match cricket. Short, sharp, intimidating. Those bounces, then real skillful full balls, the odd cutter, the perfect kind of style and foil for the England team's attack in these conditions. You need a point of difference with your seamers, and he is that point of difference that you can bowl 90 miles an hour. And with that second new ball tomorrow, he's going to be crucial. And also in the second innings, that opening burst, the likes of Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, we saw him get the odd ball rear up steeply. So he's going to be an absolute key. I don't see him playing all 4 games in these conditions because England will have to rotate. But when he does play, and that's why England will manage it, carefully to the likes of Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, so that they're not playing 4, 5, 6 games on the trot. When they do play, they'll expect them to be bowling at 145, 150, and being that point of difference.
Just watching the replay in front of me of Pujaro's dismissal. I'd go on to Dom Bess. I mean, crikey. I mean, if you're Dom Bess at the moment, I mean, you go and put a few quid on the lottery, don't you? Because I mean, he again, taking nothing away from him. And funny enough, the feisty characters like him, batsmen do try and get after them a bit, don't they? Which perhaps explains partly why he picks up some of the wickets like he has done. But massive full toss, smashed to cover, long hop, smashed into Pope at short leg and bouncing up. That was what I just saw. I was looking at Pujaro's face actually as he just saw it loop up there to mid wicket. I mean, it's a ghastly way to get out. But crikey, if you're Dom Bess at the moment, you just can't do any wrong.
Well, as Tough has said on the social, if you're, Tufnell in his younger days, he'd been saying to Dom Bess, "Come on, I'm going out with you tonight. You're lucky. I think you're going to bring me a bit of fortune tonight. I'm hanging next to you in the bar." Look, I thought he bowled really well today. I think there was times in those 2 Test matches in Sri Lanka where he didn't bowl great, but he got wickets. Whereas today, I thought he did bowl well, and he got a bit of fortune, which you actually deserve when you bowl nicely. You'd rather be lucky than unlucky.
Yeah.
That's one of the keys. Look at Ian Botham throughout his career. They all talk about how Ian Botham could bowl long hops and get many wickets. And, if you can have that bit of fortune and that little bit of the golden arm in you, I'd rather have it than not. And Jack Leach today, it didn't happen for Jack Leach. He had a drop catch. There was a few little kind of balls that didn't go his way. It all went the way of Dom Bess, but we know in cricket that can easily be reversed tomorrow, and it might be that it all goes the way of Jack Leach tomorrow and not Dom Bess. But the good thing for England that those two, I know Jack Leach had a bad day, but I enjoyed his last spell of a few overs where he just felt like he got his rhythm back. I could see that he had a bit more spring in his step, and that was good to see, because when you've taken a pummeling and you get the ball again, it's not easy, is it, to just kind of motivate yourself and be confident. Well, those last few overs just said to me that, wait a minute, all right, he didn't get any wickets today, Jack, but there was something there that he's obviously kind of been able to kind of draw back on to get the confidence level again. So he's going to be crucial throughout the series, as is Dom Bess. And from an England perspective, let's hope the luck stays with Dominic Bess and he gets many more Pujara dismissals caught at mid wicket off short legs back.
Thank you, Michael. We'll talk to you tomorrow. A new ball available for England in 6 overs, by the way. 257 for 6, so 321 behind is the Indian situation. They need 379 to avoid being asked to follow on. Andy Zoltz, we're going to talk about this remarkable game in Bangladesh in a moment, in which West Indies won a huge run chase. Just statistically, first of all, Andy, anything about today that has tickled your fancy?
Well, England's innings 578 and 190.1 overs. It's the longest a team has batted against India in India since 2009, when Sri Lanka passed 700 and batted more than 200 overs. It's the highest score against India in India since West Indies made 590 in Mumbai in 2011, a game that ended with a dramatic last ball run out with the scores level for a draw with India 9 wickets down. So yeah, it's one of England's finest batting performances in Asia. So their third highest score in Asia, second highest in India, and one of their longest innings in Asia in the last 50 odd years. For Dom Bess, he had a difficult summer in England, just 8 wickets in 6 tests, 136 overs, a wicket every 102 balls. This winter now 16 wickets, average 19, and he's taking the wicket every 40 deliveries. And we saw, you were talking about with Michael, that huge difference in the care with which England played, particularly on day one, and the rash of wickets to attacking shots from an Indian team that most of whom have played very little red ball cricket in Asia in the last year or so. So moving on to this extraordinary game, Aggers, in
Yes, come on.
In
You've been following it all day,
Chattogram.
haven't you? You saw it coming, didn't you?
Well, it was Bangladesh had been, well, as England found 4 years ago, they're a pretty tough proposition in home conditions, and they made 430 in first innings, had a big first innings lead. West Indies made 259, and they were set 395 to win when Bangladesh declared yesterday. They were 59 for 3 when Kyle Mayers on debut joined Nkrumah Bonner also on debut. In the second innings, they proceeded to add 216, the second highest partnership in Test history by 2 players on debut. Only an opening stand between Billy Ibadullah and Abdul Qadir for Pakistan against Australia in 1964. It's higher than that by 2 debutant players. That was a tweet Cricinfo put up. Bonner made 86. Mayers finished 210 not out as West Indies made 395 for 7, the 5th highest successful chase in Test history and the highest successful chase in Asia. Mayers' innings, and to put this in context, because as we were saying during the social earlier on, he had a 2-year break from first-class cricket after 2018, at which point he'd played over 20 games. He averaged 22 with the bat with a highest score of 76. He managed to work his way back into the West Indian first-class setup in 2020, scored his first 2 first-class centuries. But he had 2 first-class centuries coming into this series, and never played cricket, certainly for Test cricket in Asia. Made his one-day debut in the one days before this series, and he's made the 6th fourth innings double hundred in Test history, the 6th debut double hundred in Test history, the highest second innings score on Test debut in the entire history of Test cricket, the first debutant to make a second innings double hundred, and the second highest individual score in a successful fourth innings chase. He made 210 not out, 7 sixes and 24s from 310 balls. Only Gordon Greenidge with that 214 not out against England when they chased down 344 to win by 9 wickets in 1984 has had a higher individual score in a successful fourth innings chase. Andrew Sampson also tweeted that his 7 sixes is the second most hit by a debutant in a Test innings. Tim Southey hit 9 for New Zealand against England in the 2007-8 series. So statistically, one of the most remarkable individual performances, an incredible team performance by West Indies. They went into this game with a number of their leading players absent, who'd elected not to tour for largely COVID reasons. So their numbers 3, 4 and 5 were all on debut, Mosley, Bonner and Mayers, and that's the first time since 1946 that any team has had 3 debutants at 3, 4 and 5, excluding teams playing their first Test match, and they've managed to pull off one of the most incredible victories in Test cricket. And Kyle Mayers, I mean, you can put that extremely high on the list of the most extraordinary innings ever played in the history of the sport.
You can. And thank you, Andy, for putting it into such context. And a man who is celebrating, I know, way over there in Port of Spain in Trinidad is our old friend Fazia Mohammed. Can you believe this, Fazia?
Well, I guess, there are a lot of people who will probably be waking up at some point on this Sunday morning, probably thinking when someone tells them the news of what happened in Chattogram, probably telling themselves that maybe that they've had too much to drink last night, because that can't be real. There's no way that could have possibly happened. But it's incredible. I mean, here I am, for example, I'm across on the sister isle of Tobago following the match as well, and I'm telling myself late on Saturday night, there's nothing to stay up late for, because this is going to end swiftly. Hopefully the West Indies won't get close, so you won't have to agonize over it. And the next thing you know, before sunup, they've pulled off a stunning victory. I don't know how to make sense of it.
Well done. So you followed it through the night. But I mean, I have to be honest with you, I'd never heard of Kyle Mayers. I think he was one of those sort of reserve players, wasn't he, last summer, who came over?
Yes, he was, and I think this is really the fairy tale bit about it, because so many of these players would not have gotten the opportunity but for those players opting out. It's as many as 12 of them who opted out, the most of them for reasons of concerns over COVID-19, a couple because they had personal reasons. Yet at the same time, you've got players involved in the T10 in Abu Dhabi, which has been a bit of a talking point, and so on. So yeah, and the feeling was as unlikely as many would have thought here in the Caribbean, including myself, especially after they were brushed aside in those 3-1 days. If one or two really stood up and did something truly spectacular, as has now happened, what's going to happen next when the West Indies are at home next month for Sri Lanka, when those top-notch players are presumably available? It creates a dilemma that the West Indies would actually love for a change.
And have you seen much of him bat? I mean, he hit a few sixes, as we heard there, the second most by anybody on a debut, but he did score 200. But I mean, is he a naturally aggressive player?
He is. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. And in fact, you look at his numbers, you understand why you wouldn't have seen a whole lot, because coming into this, he averaged 28 in first-class cricket. It's gone up already to 33, which tells you how much of an impact he had. But even when you saw him in the first innings, you recognize that here was a positive player, someone who would not let a bad ball go by. And the Bangladeshis certainly missed Shakib Al Hasan, because he went into the match carrying an injury, picked up another one. And that is going to be another talking point as well. But I think what worked in his favor was his confidence. The Bangladeshis didn't really take advantage of a pitch that aided their spinners. And all credit to him, all power to him. Let's not overlook Nkrumah Bonner, who played his part as well in supporting Kyle Mayers through that outstanding partnership. And again, for two players on debut to respond in this manner on a last day in Bangladesh was truly outstanding.
Yeah, and is it going to... We keep talking about lighting touch papers in the Caribbean, don't we? You've had a few, haven't you? Let's be honest, but often in one-day cricket. But I mean, is this something again that's going to get people talking?
It will get them talking, and it will get them talking about saying, well, remember what happened in Headingley 2017? Remember what happened against England in the Caribbean 2019? And I know you're going to tell me again, you West Indians always say that you guys are so negative and so on. But and because you've been burned for so many times.
Glass is half empty, Fazir. Glass is half empty. Fill them up.
Exactly. And I think people would love to fill them up. But I think more than anything else, Agas, I think it's the delight in knowing that a team that was given absolutely no chance whatsoever, even less of a chance than they would normally have going to that part of the world where they lost the series in 2018 2-0, and now they're 1-up and can't lose this test series. They'll be telling themselves all power to these young players who took up the chance. Bonner, of course, Kyle Mayers, Joshua De Silva, who's trying to establish himself as a wicketkeeper batsman, featured in a 99-run partnership in the first innings, a 100-run partnership in the second innings. Kemar Roach is still there as the veteran fast bowler. So it really creates that vibe. And credit to the team, credit to the coach, Phil Simmons, who's taken a lot of flack for all of the disappointments of the last few months after the win in Southampton. So it creates a good feeling. But many, again, I know you always cringe about this. They'll be seeing the glass half empty. Let me put it that way.
Lovely to talk to you, Fazia. You can have a sleep after being up all night. Thanks for talking to us.
I'll try my best. Take care.
Lovely. Cheers. Thank you, Fazia, very much. There you go. Reaction to that extraordinary game, that remarkable performance by Kyle Mayers, who's become the first debutant ever to score a double hundred in the second innings of a test match. Really quite something. So we're ticking along here. Let's get some Indian perspective, shall we, on the situation at Chennai after the third day. And we're also, as we greet Prakash, thanks for joining us, Prakash, we're going to get your team, aren't we? Your best ever Indian 11. I hate doing these things because they're impossible, but there is a vote on the cricket page on BBC Sport on the website there where you can pick your best ever Indian 11. You need 2 openers, 3 middle order batsmen, 1 all-rounder, 1 wicketkeeper, 2 spinners and 2 fast bowlers, and Prakash has been involved in the selection. So we'll get your thoughts in a minute, Prakash, on that. But hey, this is an interesting day's cricket, wasn't it?
You mean in Bangladesh? Brilliant, absolutely.
Don't deflect it away like that, thank you, Prakash.
No, absolutely. I think it's been a tremendous performance, isn't it? I mean, those early breakthroughs by Jofra Archer. And then the big wicket of Virat Kohli. And yes, a little bit of luck here and there, but you make your own luck often. And I think India, backs to the wall, really will have to pull out something special. It's almost as if nothing's changed. India have been in this position in 2 of the 3 test matches in Australia. This is a different situation. It's on their home turf. And England not just hold all the aces. I think it's up to England now, really, as I said last evening, Agus, in terms of how they want to pace this game. And I was a little surprised, I don't know if you were, towards the end of the day, in the last half an hour, 40 minutes, whether England just had tired bowlers or why they weren't sort of going really for the jugular and wrapping up this innings.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfectly fair criticism. Actually, it may be that they were just a bit blown out, having had 6 days sitting in the hotel and so on. But there's certainly those 17 overs there at the end, I think, would have given India a bit of hope for tomorrow. But all that new ball, of course, is just around the corner.
It is. The new ball's absolutely around the corner, and I think it's a question now of how both teams play out the time, right? What, about 180, maybe a couple more overs. That's what's left in this game. There's enough time for England to win this. The general sort of consensus seems to be England will not impose the follow-on. I can't see India avoiding it, which means England will have to come out and bat and get some runs quickly. And it will be kind of set up the way, if you remember, the famous Rajkot test match of the 2016 series was set up. It will be a bit like that. This is going to be harder because the wicket's crumbling. Dom Bess is bowling brilliantly, and I think India will have to pull a rabbit out of the hat if they don't want to go 1-0 down.
Rishabh Pant, let's talk about this extraordinary young man who I think, well, anyone says had a bit of a shocker behind the stumps. But then he's not an absolutely frontline wicketkeeper. What you're getting a batsman wicketkeeper, aren't you, with Rishabh? But I just thought when he missed that stumping this morning, which was such a bad stumping to miss, you think how long can India, especially in India, keep a wicketkeeper going when he's missing chances like that? That might have been Joe Root on 5, or whatever it may be. But then he comes out and plays like that, and you can see what the problem is for the selectors.
It is indeed a problem, and I suspect that if he continues in this vein, the time's not going to be too far off when he plays as a specialist batsman. And let's be honest, he could well hold his place in the form of specialist batsman. And that's probably the future, unless, like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Agas, Rishabh Pant actually develops very quickly into a good, if not a great keeper. But if he can't, I don't see how on turning pitches he's going to be able to do justice. And you're right, it could be the top man in the opposition batting on nil, and then he gets a big double hundred. Who knows?
I mean, presumably it would develop more as a talking point over there should India lose this match. I mean, and they're going to look to changes, and people will be shouting out here, there, and everywhere, and the newspaper writers and everything else. But the wicketkeeper is such a key position, and yet look what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, it's a really tough call, and just judging and sticking my neck out here. Even if India lose this test match, I don't think India are going to get Saha back into the playing 11. It's just not the approach this team has taken in the past. They've sort of almost been obstinate at times to say this is how we're going to play.
Yes.
And you could question the approach that the Indian batsmen had to this massive 570 odd run total that was facing them. They came out and batted as if they had a train to catch in many ways. Pujara being the exception.
We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? That taking nothing away from England, but India haven't really looked at the races in this match in any aspect. They've dropped simple catches, they've bowled all those no balls, they've burned off those reviews. There've been some poor shots here today. They haven't looked quite on it.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, harsh as it may sound, except for Pujara. And then, as you saw with Washington Sundar and Ashwin, there aren't any sort of, vipers hidden in this pitch. Yes, the odd one is sort of spinning from the rough, etc. That's to be expected in Indian conditions. And if you think about it, several of the strokes that the Indians played, with the exception of Pujara's, unfortunate dismissal, were shots that you wouldn't expect from players of this caliber.
Yeah. Right.
So there is a question mark.
Yeah, I want your Indian team now then, Prakash, because I can. There's three selections that I'm going to be particularly interested in of yours. I think I'm going to get the all-rounder. I think probably knowing your vintage, I'll probably guess your wicketkeeper. The spinners will be interesting. Yes. Fast bowlers, probably modern ones. But I mean, I want to see your selection of three middle order batsmen after.
That's a tough one.
After your openers, one of which will pick himself.
Yes, as I was looking at this, I guess just to take a second extra, the middle order is a real tough one. I mean, I know this will go out into the sort of universe one way or another, and therefore there are some people that I have to have in the team for political reasons.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. So you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Non-political selection.
So here's my side. Here's my side. Look, Sunil Gavaskar, and for me, as an ideal foil for him, Virender Sehwag. So that's my opening pair.
Can you imagine those two batting together? Wow.
Wouldn't it be amazing just to see? It'll be the sort of multiplied to the power of N, the Srikanth Gavaskar combination in some ways. Then at number 3, of course, my favorite Indian batsman of all time, Rahul Dravid. There's no question. Tendulkar has to come in at 4. Yeah. And this 5th one for me, believe it or not, was a real toss-up between Vijay Hazare, who I never saw play live. But the stories I've heard of Vijay Hazare, I think he would run Virat Kohli very, very close.
Interesting.
But because I've seen Virat Kohli, obviously Kohli is in at 5.
Yes.
The all-rounder for me has to be Kapil Dev.
Yes. Now your keeper.
Can't really argue. Yes. For me, again, thought about that long and hard, Syed Kirmani.
Did you?
Kirmani, yes.
I'd gone Farooq Engineer.
Yes. The reason I didn't go with Farooq simply was because while he did keep to the great spinning quartet, I just think that Syed Kirmani brought a lot more balance in both his batting and his keeping. Farooq was more in the vein of a Sehwag, maybe an underrated version of Sehwag. That's why Syed Kirmani. Anil Kumble's got to be in there for me, just from the point of view. And he and Bishan Bedi was a close toss-up for me, but I've gone with Anil Kumble. The best off-spinner India ever had, Erapalli Prasanna. Has to be in that squad for me because of and imagine if these guys had bowled with DRS and what have you.
Yes.
I don't know how many wickets these blokes would have got.
Absolutely.
Right? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And on the fast bowling department, Bumrah picks himself as far as I'm concerned. And then just to get some variety, and because he's been so good, Zair Khan.
Oh, interesting shout. No Abid Ali?
No.
From my vintage.
No Abid Ali. No Abid Ali, thank you very much.
I've got lovely memories of Abid Ali plodding in with the new balls. He used to get the shine off to get the spinners on.
Yes, well, Gavaskar used to bowl at one time. Remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
Dennis Amos, didn't he?
Well, that's a brilliant team, Prakash. And people have their say, and people will be, I'm sure, jumping up and down, as you know. All our armchair selectors will be having their say. Thank you for picking a team. Thanks for coming on this evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Indeed. Take care.
You're listening to the TMS podcast from BBC Radio 5 Live.
Fancy raucously raiding with an Irish pirate queen? Ruling classical Rome with the political powerhouse Agrippina the Younger? Or taking a less than sober saunter through Prohibition-era America? Discover what the past was really like with the You're Dead to Me podcast.
She must have been a hell of a woman.
I'm Greg Jenner, and in each episode we aim for wisdom and wit by pairing up an expert historian with a top comedian.
Nero, the 15-year-old boy having to make a decision about this.
Oh yeah, sounds pretty bad. I don't know.
Do you want to hear a song I wrote?
Subscribe on BBC Sounds.
Follow England's tour of India via the TMS podcast with a new episode at the end of each day's play.
So you can get involved in that vote for the greatest India 11 of all time. Just go to the cricket section of the BBC Sport website and the app. So before we go, let's get some reaction from Chennai. Dom Bess took 4 wickets, and he's been talking to Simon Mann.
Dom, the wicket of Kohli, I mean, is that the wicket that's given you most satisfaction in your Test career so far?
I mean, it's certainly up there. It's certainly, I guess, obviously, the player, the calibre of who he is, I think is phenomenal. Obviously, he's a world-class player, one of the best. Again, it's more the process. It's more what I'm learning, what I'm doing that is getting me to that, if that makes sense. And like I said, I'm 23. I'm only going to keep growing here. And the journey's going to be up and down. But yeah, it's obviously giving me confidence. I think, like I said, we go back. I don't want to think about it too much. We're in the middle of the game. Do you know what I mean? We've got so much to work on. It's like I said, we've got him as a team. We'll have to try and get him out next innings. And like I said, it's a long series. Yeah.
Is that the best you've bowled in Test cricket?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I bowled really well at Cape Town when I actually came back on a pretty solid wicket. Again, I thought I bowled well in Port Elizabeth, but I guess coming from the lack of preparation, I talk about obviously after the summer having quite a big break, and obviously myself moving away. I had to do a lot of things outside of cricket. Obviously moving house, and at times how stressful it is. I don't know, I've got to thank my girlfriend for doing most of it, but I think the preparation in terms of that, it was very different and very new to me. So it was really important to make sure that I had real confidence in my mentality, that side of it, my process. I think that was a really important thing. I think it's really important to stick with the process of that. And I guess that's the most important thing. It's not about who you're getting out or what. It's the consistency of balls. And like I said, I thought I bowled pretty well.
It was a day of contrasting fortunes for the two spinners, for yourself and Jack Leach. What do you say to Jack after a day like he's had and a day like you've had?
I thought he bowled really well, and that's not me just saying it. You look at the way he bowled to Pant, and you look at the way he bowled to Sundar. You get the spot map. I reckon there's 20 balls within a spot. Pant's just a complete different player. Pant played a phenomenal innings, and again, if one goes straight up there, it's a complete different game. They're 5 down, and they are really in a big hole. I think how he played was really courageous and actually really bold, and we know he plays like that. But how Leachy again came back and just kept smashing a leg shows the qualities that he has. And again, I know people will look at the outcome. At one point, I know he's going at 10, so it doesn't matter. I thought he bowled really well how he came back. And again, it's about a collective. It's about getting 10 wickets together. And like I said, he's so strong mentally. He's been through a hell of a lot. That's not going to faze him at all.
He had the catch drop towards the end of the day's play as well. But England's catching today was top class for most part. Yeah,
and like I said, I tell you what, that sums up cricket. And I know Leachy was laughing a little bit, and I was laughing. Obviously, it's gone straight up, and you drop catches, whatever, and that probably summed Leachy's day up. Just unlucky, and you go to my side, and I've bowled slightly fuller one, and Ruti's taken an absolute blinder. And like again, that sums up the cricket. That is cricket. It's going to happen. So I think, like I said, going back to your original question, I think the way that our fielding has been, the amount of hard work that you see the lads do in and around the bat. I know we got Popey, Crawley, Bluey, obviously phenomenal in that short leg area, close catching, obviously Ruti, Bluey, Stokesy. I think there's no surprise that we're doing what we're doing out there.